In that 3-hour conversation, I was never told what the accusations were. What the accusations were, who the accusers were. I was never allowed to provide any data or evidence to debunk anything that perhaps I could have debunked if I had known what we were talking about anyway. But they wouldn't allow me to present any evidence, and they, frankly, didn't give me due process.
Tavis Smiley told us on the show yesterday that his career has been unjustifiably ruined by anonymous and unproven allegations. He's not the only one who feels his reputation has been destroyed in this moment. This 2013 photo from TMZ shows pop star Taylor Swift with a radio show host called David Mueller. Swift accused Mueller of groping her in the picture. He was fired almost immediately. And this month, Taylor Swift was on the cover of Time magazine as a so-called silence breaker. Mueller says he was never given a chance to defend himself before he was canned and destroyed. David Mueller joins us now. David, thanks for coming on.
Good evening, Tucker. Thanks for having me on.
Good evening. So we have the picture. It looks like you're guilty. What about this are we misreading?
Well, I've always said the picture was awkward. I wasn't ready. My girlfriend was talking to Taylor just prior to the photo being snapped, and I was several feet away. I tried to slide into the photo as best as I could, and that was the result. But my hand was never under her skirt. I never grabbed her, and my hand wasn't even open.
Huh. So did she say anything to you at the moment?
No, nobody did, Tucker.
So she didn't whip around and
Not
say,
even,
get your hands off me or anything like that?
No, and her bodyguard was right there, 5 feet away, and he didn't do anything.
And your girlfriend was, of course, there too. She's in the picture as well. So when did you first learn she was accusing you of touching her?
We left the backstage area. I left the arena. A half an hour later, we were on the main floor, and I was approached by a large British bodyguard, and he wanted to talk to me. And that was when I found out that I was being accused.
What did he say?
He said, do you want to tell me what happened earlier? And I said, I'd love to. I don't know what you're talking about. And then he proceeded to tell me that I grabbed Taylor Swift's rear end. And I said, I did not. I didn't grab anybody. And then I asked for the police. I asked him to get my boss, my direct supervisor from the radio station. I knew he was there. And my girlfriend tried to interject because she was in the photo tent, and they told her to be quiet. Next thing you know, we got thrown out. We were told we'd never be allowed at a Taylor Swift concert for life. It was a lifetime ban, and we were on the curb. I never got to talk to my boss or the Denver Police Department.
But you asked for your boss and the police right then and there. So what happened next?
I asked for the police several. I asked for the police several times, and the next day I had to go in and talk to my bosses at the radio station, KYGO. And I had a talent agent. I contacted my talent agent. I talked to my girlfriend's family because they were really the only people I was close to in Denver at the time. And I went in and talked to my bosses, and I told them I didn't do anything, and they said, well, why would she say that? And I said, I don't know. Ask her.
Well, do you know? So you were fired. She has become a kind of living symbol of the resistance to British behavior like this, as a survivor. You say it's all made up. Why would she make it up?
That's a good question. The short answer is a business decision. You know, that my bosses never talked to Taylor Swift or anyone else who was in the photo tent other than my girlfriend and me. And my girlfriend and I told my bosses at KYGO nothing happened. And they talked to one person from her group, from Team Taylor.
Yeah.
They never talked to Taylor. The first time I heard that Taylor Swift actually was accusing me was when she filed a counterclaim to my lawsuit. That's the first time. I didn't even know that she had said it, because when I was there, you would think she would have slapped me or said, dude, get your hand off me. She never said a word to me. I had no idea there was a problem, because there wasn't a problem.
How has this affected your life?
Well, the biggest thing it's done to me is put me in a position where I have to prove that I'm innocent, which is almost impossible. But I've done the best I can. I sat down for 2 independent polygraphs. I passed them both. I'm willing to do another one. I've talked to all my friends in radio. I've tried to recover from this career-wise, and so far I don't have many promising leads. I have a chance to get back in radio. I won't be at the level I was at. I don't have a girlfriend. My girlfriend stayed with me for a while, but it was hard. And when she knew that I was going to file a lawsuit, that was a bit much for her to handle. But I didn't have any recourse. I had to, because I asked them to give me something in writing saying there was a misunderstanding. And there was nothing else I could do. I had to file a lawsuit.
Wow. Well, I don't know anything other than what you've just told us, but it's clear that your life has been basically destroyed by this. So we'll let our viewers judge for themselves. David, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Tucker.
In the past 6 weeks or so, sexual harassment charges have taken down Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, now Matt Lauer. All of it feels a bit like a cultural watershed, especially as millions of women have joined in by posting or tweeting the hashtag #MeToo. Sexual harassment seems everywhere. It is a problem. Is it just that we're recognizing it for the first time, or is something else going on? Could there be something of a moral panic underway? Christina Hoff Sommers is resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. In a recent piece for the New York Daily News, she warned that the Me Too phenomenon will soon mutate into a general vilification of all men everywhere. Christina Hoff Sommers joins us tonight. Christina, thanks for coming on.
Great to be here.
So I assume, I know that cases like Harvey Weinstein appall you. You've said that.
Yes.
But you're saying that this may morph into something different.
We have to be careful. It's a very important moment. I think we're watching a major cultural shift before our eyes. As if men and women are rewriting the social contract. And it's a time where we really can kind of bring the workplace up to 21st century standards of dignity and equality. But I see a risk. I've seen signs of, as you said, a kind of panic around sexuality, and particularly a tendency to vilify all men. The fact that some men are predators, it doesn't follow logically that all men are, and yet there's a lot of rhetoric about, trying to implicate all men in a pathology.
And what would be the motive behind, it's prima facie ludicrous, because a person commits a crime does not mean all people who look like that person are going to commit the same crime, obviously. But what do you think is driving claims that all men are to blame?
Well, we have in our universities some very hardline gender activists, and I consider myself a feminist. This is not true of all feminists, but there is a school of feminism that is very averse to masculinity. It sees it as, intrinsically pathological and toxic.
Right.
And in the academy, there are a lot of exaggerated statistics about male perfidy and carrying on with these theories about masculinity. And I have seen activists, Roxane Gay, for example, wrote in the New York Times that it was, calling for all men to come forth and admit to their, sins, great and small, against women. All men? Not all men. The majority of, men of goodwill are going to join with women and address this problem. So I just draw the line at this male bashing and carrying on. There was a professor on NPR that thought the only solution to the harassment problem was to radically transform the way we raise boys, and she had these very extravagant theories about changing how resource socializing little boys. Again, this is an overreaction.
Well, I wonder, though, if it even makes sense as a theory. Is the idea that American men have just gotten a lot more masculine in recent years, and this is an outgrowth of that? Does anybody argue that? That seems the implication, but it seems like crazy.
Any theory that's going to target half the human race is bound to fail. But this is what we see. It's very common in the university to treat, men as almost the enemy. And again, this is not typical of feminism everywhere, but in the academy,
right,
this is being taught, and I now see these professors coming forth, and their theories are in the air. And I've seen a willingness to sacrifice innocent people, because we when we remind people of the importance of the presumption of innocence and being careful about false accusation, there have been some activists who've said, well, who cares if some innocent people go down?
We've interviewed them. Right.
Yeah. And so that sort of attitude worries me, and it's going
terrifying.
to harm a good cause, because if we can not allow various groups with strange agendas to hijack this
right.
issue, we can actually address it and maybe